Everything you have ever learned about marketing is erroneous. It's wrong. Capture the attention of your market with relevant and important hot buttons. Connect with your prospects on an emotional level by promising to educate them about the important and relevant issues. Educate prospects on how to make the right purchasing decision by giving them enough information to facilitate them making the best decision possible when buying what you have to sell. Incentivize your prospects by lowering the risk of taking the next step in the buying process. Do you want to know why virtually all marketing stinks and how to fix it? The reason is you've been conditioned to believe and practice certain things about marketing and advertising that are completely erroneous because they can't grow your business. Most businesses subsist on the force of the market, meaning there are only a very small number of people who want to buy what you have to sell now. If you're only targeting the now buyers, you're missing 90 to 95% of your target market. The sad truth is that most marketers are only targeting the people who want to buy now. But let's just take a closer look at marketing. Ask 100 people what the purpose of marketing is, and you'll probably get 100 different answers. Some people would say that it's marketing's job to get your business name out in the marketplace. Others would say that marketing positions your company in the marketplace, and some would say it builds brand awareness. Others would say that it's marketing's job to generate leads that are then handed over to the sales department. Still others may say it's to build awareness with the intention of having people remember your name when they go to buy whatever it is you have to sell. And then there's always the group that says it's marketing's job to generate revenue. All of these answers are partially right. All of these answers are the results of what happens when your investment in marketing and advertising does what it's supposed to do. Understand that it's human nature for people to always want to make the best decision possible. So let's define marketing. Well, according to the American Marketing Association, it's the activity and set of institutions that processes in creating and communicating and delivering and exchanging offerings that have value of customers, clients, partners, and society at large. What? Blah, blah, blah. What kind of corporate speak is this? According to businessdictionary.com, the objectives of marketing are defined as the group of goals set by a business when promoting its products or services to potential consumers that should be achieved within a given time frame. A company's marketing objectives for a particular product might include increasing product awareness among targeted consumers, providing information about product features, and reducing consumer resistance to buying the product. Here's how we define the objectives of effective marketing at Strategic Marketing Consultants. Number one, capture the attention of your market with relevant and important hot buttons. 2, connect with your prospects on an emotional level by promising to educate them about the important and relevant issues. 3, educate prospects on how to make the right purchasing decision by giving them enough information to facilitate them making the best decision possible when buying what you have to sell. 4th, incentivize your prospects by lowering the risk of taking the next step in the buying process. And 5th and last, automate the process through systems so that you can produce consistent results. Effective marketing, when done right, accomplishes the first 4 objectives, and when combined with our process to innovate your company, causes your prospects and customers to conclude, I'd have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. Let's take a closer look at each of these steps. Objective number 1, capture the attention of your market. Although this seems pretty straightforward, there's more than one way to do this, and they're not all good. I've got a specific formula I'll give you later that ensures that you always do it the right way. Unfortunately, it's done the wrong way 95% of the time. Objective number 2, connect with your prospects on an emotional level. You connect with people on an emotional level when you understand their problems or challenges from their point of view. What are their hot buttons? that they can't ignore. When you speak to your prospects in the words that they use to describe their problems, they literally cannot help but pay attention. Objective number 3, educate prospects on how to make the right purchasing decision by giving them enough information to facilitate their making the best decision possible when buying what you have to sell. Understand that you've got prospects that need what you have to sell. There are plenty of people who are craving information about solutions that you can provide. However, since they're not experts at what you do, they don't know the questions or the relevant issues surrounding their situation. They don't know how to make the best decision, which gives you an opportunity to guide them through the process. Your job is to educate them, to help them to learn how to make the best decision possible. If the best decision possible happens to be buying from you, and it should, then that's all the better. You should see yourself as the fountain from which all knowledge flows, at least knowledge relevant to what you're selling. Objective number 4, incentivize your prospects. Lower the risk of taking the next step in the buying process. Once you've captured and connected with your prospect, your job is to educate them. However, prospects really don't know you yet. So you have to lower the risk of taking the next step to learn more about how they can solve their problems. You do this by offering them an incentive or an ethical bribe, such as a free video, a report, an audio program, or other valuable content in exchange for them providing you with their contact information. All business owners want the same things. They want more new customers and less competition, more profitability and less waste, more retention and less turnover among their best employees, better results from their marketing and advertising, more loyalty from their customers, and higher conversion ratios for their salespeople. In short, they want to generate more revenue and profit. Own the fact that prospects and customers want the same things. They want to feel confident that their money is being well spent and their purchasing decisions are wise. They want to get the best deal in terms of both price and value. You never hear anybody say, well, I shopped 10 car dealerships and negotiated the best possible price at each one, and I decided to take where I got the 4th best deal. No. People instinctively want to make the best decision possible. Objective number 5, automate the process through systems so that you can produce consistent results. In the E-Myth Revisited, author Michael Gerber and his team developed a PowerPoint selling system that we have adapted and applied to our total market domination program. This system consists of the structure and substance of our program. The structure defines what you do, and the substance defines how you do it. Essentially, what you need to do is script your entire marketing and advertising and sales process so it is repeatable by anyone who follows the system as it's laid out. Now that we have our marketing objectives defined, we see that we have to merge 2 sets of values. The business wants more loyal customers, higher margins, and customers want to feel confident that they're getting the best possible deal in terms of overall value. The process and the principles that govern matching these 2 sets of values are the same for every business. That's why we can work with hundreds of companies every year in any industry. It's simple. As the marketer, all you have to do is figure out what's important to your prospects, educate them about what constitutes the best deal in your area, and then provide quantifiable proof that you provide the best deal in terms of price and value. If you communicate that message properly, your customers will pay attention to the message, believe you, and then take action that moves the buying process forward. Our system is powerful because your prospects get what they want from you. First, they get the best deal in terms of overall price and value, and they can buy with confidence that they're making the best decision possible for them. The problem is, most businesses don't hold up their end of the bargain. Instead of using marketing to build a case that facilitates the decision-making process, most companies fill their marketing with self-serving hyperbole, fluff, and platitudes that are only a thinly veiled way of saying, buy from me because I want you to give your money to me instead of somebody else. That's why people become jaded and resist marketing. They tend to either dismiss it or become skeptical of the messages. But you don't want to breed skepticism. You want your prospects to say that they'd have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of the price. But look, you can't cram everything that a person needs to know into one advertisement. You have to find a way to give them more information. And you do this via marketing tools, i.e. reports, websites, videos, DVDs, and audio CDs. Have you ever bought a new home from a builder? They have lots of ways to advertise and promote, and one being in the Sunday paper in the new home section. But if you look in that section of the newspaper, you'll see that none of the ads accomplishes the three objectives of marketing. 1, capture the attention of the market. 2, facilitate the decision-making process by educating them about what they need to know. And 3, giving them a low-risk way to become more educated and take the next step to further the buying process. Those ads don't do this. Instead, they feature beautiful, happy, smiling people, pictures of houses and floor plans, price ranges of homes, maps of various neighborhoods, builder websites that aren't much better. Take a look at the ads in your local Sunday paper. None of them do what marketing is supposed to do. None truly capture the attention of the prospective buyer. The ads all look virtually identical and contain similar pictures and words. From the prospect standpoint, they're all the same. There's nothing to get their attention. No acknowledgement of what the customer's needs or problems might be. There's nothing in any of these ads to educate the prospect. There's nothing to facilitate their decision-making process. There's nothing to show them what they need to know or to tell them what issues to consider. How many things do you need to know when buying a new home? Are you an expert on lumber, plumbing, masonry, electrical, insulation, flooring, framing, roofing, finish out, and the other 750 pertinent items involved in building of a home? Of course not. And you won't be either regarding these ads. I'm not saying every home buyer wants to know all that stuff. What I am saying, though, is that buyers would like to know or at least be aware of the relevant issues that are at stake. With these ads, all you know is that smiling people supposedly live there, and they have these floor plans and maps to neighborhoods. All of these ads are ineffective because prospective buyers want and need to be educated so that they can feel confident when making their decision. Nobody is providing this information, and the first one who does wins. Then there's the no low-risk way for the net prospect to take the next step in the buying process. The only option these ads give is come to the model home. And you say that's low risk? The heck it is. You tell me. If you're just thinking about buying a new home and the only option is to come to a model home that's 45 minutes from your house, and you know that it'll be stocked with starving salespeople who want to do everything in their power to force you to buy that home on the spot, you think that's low risk? If you think I exaggerate, go meet the salespeople who sit at these model homes all weekend long. Some are wonderful, but 90% of them are starving and took the job because it's the only thing they could find that had a $2,500 a month draw. They look at you like a big, thick, juicy steak to be devoured, not a prospect who wants to make the best home buying decision possible. All of these ads fail miserably on this level. As a result, they get lost in the shuffle of all the other ads. But there's a better way to handle this situation. Why do you think that business people always feel forced into a price competitive situation? If you feel that's the case with your business, it's your own fault. Your lack of marketing ability has led to the situation where there are no distinctions between you and your competitors. You haven't introduced the proper parameters or educated your prospects on the relevant issues. You've made no offers to lower the risk of taking the next step. If you feel that you're always competing on price, it's because price is the only relevant variable you've given your prospects to consider. And from the prospect's perspective, all things are equal, so they would be foolish not to demand a lower price. Let me tell you why everything you have ever learned about marketing is wrong. You have been conditioned to believe and practice certain things about marketing and advertising that are all wrong because they can't grow your business. All you have ever learned about marketing is wrong because it doesn't allow you to accurately, effectively, and succinctly portray your inside reality to the outside world. Now, I'm going to go into more depth on this topic in a few minutes. However, understand this is a product of years of conditioning of marketing the wrong way. Let me explain how and why you landed in this mess. And you'll have a better appreciation for the problem, as well as for the solution to this problem, if you know why the problem exists in the first place. In the early days of advertising in the late 1800s, early 1900s, most companies were competing on a local or regional level. Because of their proximity, competition was fierce. Much of the advertising was comparative in nature. A business wouldn't just say, hey, we're better. They'd say, we're better and here's why, based on this, 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 and this. They did a pretty good job of building a case and helping prospective buyers understand the important issues regarding their particular product or service. This information helped to facilitate the decision-making process for a prospective buyer, which is what marketing is supposed to do. In other words, the ads performed a sales function. This highly competitive environment forced advertisers to use their brains when writing ads, and the beneficiary was the buyer. Back in those days, ads were thought as an army of tiny salespeople armed with a perfect sales presentation. The result was that the outside perception was generally a fair reflection of a company's inside reality. This kind of marketing continued through the end of World War II. Then everything changed. At that time, Americans had unprecedented prosperity, free time, and discretionary income. People were saying, I'm ready to consume. Soon, the most significant event in the history of marketing and advertising occurred. In 1945, television appeared on the scene, and it changed everything. In 1945, there were fewer than 7,000 TV sets receiving signals from just 9 stations in 5 markets. From there, it mushroomed. By 1951, there were 12 million sets. A year later, in 1952, there were 20 million sets. Television changed all advertising in a negative way. Let me explain. In the 1950s, the typical family in America had one TV set that received just 3 channels. The entire family gathered around and watched practically every night. It was very powerful. Some of the biggest companies in the country said, hey, there's a relatively low-cost way we can reach everybody in the whole country with an advertising message. Until then, national distribution of advertising message was limited to print in a few magazines or the Sears catalog. Now corporations could buy a TV commercial and reach just about every living person in the country watching TV for about $4,000 a minute. What a bargain! When more companies began to catch on, the prices of commercials went through the roof. Local and regional competitors quickly lost their ability to buy airtime, and soon only the largest companies could afford the huge advertising rates. But they gladly paid the money because of the almost instantaneous effectiveness of those advertisements. As advertising prices went up, the length of the average commercial shrank. Instead of 1 or 2 minutes per commercial, the network started selling them in 30-second blocks. This meant that advertisers had less time to sell. Now there was no time to educate the public about the important issues. It was impossible to build a case of why they were different, better, or unique. Instead, they started using slogans. And the outside perception stopped accurately reflecting the inside reality. What is marketing supposed to do? First, get the prospect's attention. Well, even with only 30 seconds, getting attention was no problem. But then what? Marketing is supposed to facilitate the decision-making process and make the prospects feel that they would have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but that company, regardless of the price. Companies and their ad agencies found out this was much harder to do with only 30 seconds. But they also found out that they didn't really need to do it because the number of real competitors, those who could actually afford to be on the table with advertising along with them, was amazingly, wonderfully few. On television, they could just spend the money and win by default because of a limited number of players. The big spenders discovered that they could win by being the only one who reached the consumer consistently. Not because their products were any better, not because they had a better inside reality, not by better advertising. It was like winning a sporting event by forfeit. If the other team doesn't show up, you automatically win. And even if there were 2 or 3 major competitors like Pepsi or Coke, that was fine because there was plenty of business to divide 2 or 3 ways. So because of the scarcity of options, a company's inside reality and outside perception didn't have to match up. Because of the limited airtime and available scarce competition, all of this focus shifted to the first step, getting attention. Advertising quickly lost its penchant for selling and developed an appetite for creativity. The idea was to get something creative into the consumer's brain that would stimulate them to think about and recall their product later on when they needed it. Slogans became the rule of the roost. Aren't you glad you used Dial? Ring around the collar. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Don't squeeze the Charmin. Some of these commercials ran multiple times per day, every day, for years. The creative approach soon filtered into other advertising media, including radio, newspapers, magazines, billboards, and the yellow pages. And once the creative message was in place, the big companies opened up their checkbooks and spent the big bucks, and basically gave people no option but to remember their message. After nearly 10,000 times of hearing plop, plop, fizz, fizz, you'll remember it, whether you want to or not. You tell me, how do you spell relief? We call this the CRAP formula. C-R-A-P. The formula C stands for creativity, R for repetition, A for and P for positioning. Make something creative, spend $1 billion to ensure repetition, and take your money to the bank. Well, not so fast there, mister. How many of these companies' products have you ever bought? Personally, I've never bought Alka-Seltzer or Rolaids, or a dozen of the other products promoted via this crap strategy. Does creativity still work, though? Well, it depends to some extent on how much money you have to spend. Let's test its effectiveness. I'll give you some slogans of companies, and you tell me A, what company the slogans are for, B, what they do, and C, what you think their inside reality is. I'll bet you don't get more than one. The power to know. Log in and meet. At your side. A passion for the middle market. Instruments for professionals. Now you're really flying. Everywhere you go. I pulled these slogans from current major business magazines for major companies with significant products or services. They spend a lot of money supporting these campaigns to raise awareness. But chances are none of them have any impact on you at all. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a slogan, but I am saying that if you're betting on a slogan, you're in trouble. Even if you spend enough money to gain widespread awareness, there's still no guarantee that people will know what your inside reality is and feel compelled to buy something from you. There's a big gap between what the ad agencies like to call awareness and what we like to call selling something. Creativity and repetition became the calling card of the big advertisers, and their methods trickled down to other media. Then ad agencies and business schools started to benchmark these companies. They did some research and discovered that the big rich companies were getting bigger and richer by advertising on TV with all this creative, slogan-oriented stuff, spending $1 gazillion on repetition. This led them to conclude that that must be how you get rich in business. You spend more than your competitors on advertising, clog the airwaves, make sure everyone sees your name and hears your slogan 50 million times, and you do it as creatively as possible. For a period of time, they were right. This was the era of the big brand. Throughout the 1970s, this was a no-brainer formula for market dominance with companies with the financial resources to pull it off. Large ad agencies started using this formula for all of their clients, even small ones. Business schools started teaching this marketing and advertising based on these hackneyed methods, turning out graduates who only knew one way to do marketing. Brand builder marketing and advertising became the de facto standard for how you do it. However, after a few decades, nobody even questioned the formula. You know, you and I grew up in an era where almost all advertising was the product of the brand builders. We all became conditioned to this way. We learned this pattern and what to put into a commercial. We learned about humorous slogans and jingles. We were taught the outside perception doesn't have to reflect the inside reality. So now you're in charge of marketing and advertising at your company, and you need to create some advertisement, a brochure, a website. You draw on all your collective resources. If you're putting the marketing together yourself, you dredge your mental archives for everything you've ever seen. Maybe you've had a few marketing classes here or picked up a few books from the library or Amazon.com about marketing and advertising. Or you go to your ad agency for advice and hire a marketing expert. But here's the sad truth. Because these resources are based on outmoded, antiquated, and brand builder spend $1 billion on creativity and repetition model that doesn't work anymore, they won't help. Maybe it still works to some extent for Coca-Cola, who spends over $1 billion annually, or General Motors, who budgets up to $4 billion for advertising each year. They have the money to fund the repetition side of the equation. You throw enough mud at the wall and some of it's going to stick. But even if you have $1 billion to spend, it still isn't the way to maximize your ROI. You know, the current state of marketing and advertising is a mess. Today, generally, the outside perception builds in advertisements and marketing pieces that do not reflect or reveal the inside reality of a company. What makes you good? Most ads can be classified into two categories. They are either A, institutional advertising, or B, menu board style advertising. Institutional ad says, here's our name, here's our best attempt at being creative, and here's the biggest budget we could muster to support this crap. Creative, repetition, and positioning. Almost all big companies and ad agencies, along with many small businesses and small agency copycats, specialize in institutional advertising. It's what you see in most magazines and TV ads. Now, menu board advertising basically says, here's our name, and here's a long list of what we have for sale, just like a menu at a restaurant. You know, we have hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken, steak, salads, roast beef. Maybe there's even a picture of each of them. Wow. In advertising, it goes something like this. Auto, home, renters, motorcycle, boat, commercial vehicles. You could save 15% or more. Convenient local office. Coverage available by phone. Money-saving discounts. Low-down month payments. Monthly payment plans. 24-hour servicing claims. SR22s available. We're an insurance company. Oh, look, here's a picture of a reptile. Get the point? Just like a menu at a restaurant, the ad is a simple listing of what's for sale. Many large companies and almost all small businesses specialize in menu board advertising. If you let the newspaper or radio creative department put your ad together for you, you're almost guaranteed to get a menu board style advertisement. The advertising does very little for you. It doesn't get the prospect's attention. It doesn't facilitate the decision-making process. It doesn't build a case. It doesn't lower the risk, and it doesn't lead prospects to say, I'd have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. It just says, hey, we have this stuff for sale. Come buy some for us for no profit, justifiable, or rational reason, other than we just want your money. Of course, you're assuming that prospects will see or hear your ad in the first place. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard me talk about the inside reality and your outside perception, but are you aware of the two sides of your business? There's the inside reality and the outside perception that are in conflict in nearly every business. The truth is, when your outside perception of your business is a congruent reflection of the amazing inside reality, you can monopolize your marketplace. In this section, I want to focus on both sides of your business, the outside perception and the inside reality, because the fact is that they're rarely aligned. In fact, the crux of all marketing problems in business, including yours, can be summed up in one simple statement. Most businesses' outside perception is not an accurate reflection of their inside reality. What our strategic marketing system does, first and foremost, is fix this problem. Your inside reality has to do with all those things that your business does that makes you valuable to your customers in your products and services, your operations and management standpoint. It's comprised of all of your people, your skills, your expertise, your service to your customers before, during, and after the sale. You might think you're better than you really are, or you may not be giving yourself enough credit for all those things you do well. But irrespective of how you measure all of those qualities, together they represent the reality of how valuable you are to the marketplace. This is what we call your inside reality. What's the inside reality of your business? You probably already know, but you've probably never really articulated it before. Perhaps you've asked your customers why they bought from you. They can provide you with the valuable insights into what they perceive is valuable to them. They may tell you that that's why I do business here. That's why I refer my friends or associates, or have them conduct their business here. That's why I don't mind paying more here, and that's why I keep coming back. That's your inside reality. Many of today's business gurus, such as Michael Gerber, Frank Kern, Tom Peters, and others, advocate that you must innovate your business so that it's more valuable to the marketplace. In fact, Peter says this in The Pursuit of Wow. But you have to do more than just wow your customers. You still have to market your business in such a way that your customers become aware of your awesome products and services. That's where your outside perception comes into play. The outside perception is how your prospects and customers perceive your business. The outside perception is developed through all of your interactions, or lack thereof, of people have with your company. Clients will draw on their past buying experiences to form their outside perception. The challenge is, it doesn't matter how great your products or services are, how great your customers think you are, none of that means squat to prospective customers if, one, they don't even know you exist, or two, they can't distinguish your value proposition if you lack the ability to market yourself properly. They perceive that you're no better or no worse than anybody else. Marketing ineptitude creates a chasm between your outside perception and your inside reality. To your customers, their perception is totally different. For the moment, put your pride in the closet, and regardless of how good or how fantastic your inside reality is, your prospect can't determine it based on your marketing. On the surface, you appear to be just another company in your industry, and prospects will likely be apathetic at best, resistant, or hostile at worst. Let's take a look at your business, your industry from your customer's perspective. How many competitors, either direct or indirect, do you have for what you sell? Whatever that is, that's simply how many choices your prospects have and how many businesses they have to sift through in order to make a buying decision. And due to the huge number of competitors, marketing has to, one, capture and connect with the prospect, facilitate the decision-making process, and three, lower the risk of taking the next step in the buying process. Sound familiar? You likely have heard of the concept that if you want to know why Pat Smith buys what she buys, you've got to see the world through Pat Smith's perspective. And it's true, most business owners and managers know how to see the world from Pat Smith's perspective. Unfortunately, they don't know how to communicate what makes them good, their inside reality, to their customers and prospects. Most businesses are good at knowing what Pat Smith wants, but because they aren't communication experts, they can't communicate their inside reality to the outside world. They can't take their wow and lead a prospect to the conclusion, I'd have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. How you do that is what Strategic Marketing's Total Market Domination program is all about. Think about your business. Your ability to know what Pat Smith wants is what has made you successful as you are now. I'll assume that you have good products and services and that you fill a market need. You've probably been studying your market and your prospects and your business for years. And you have solutions that add value to Pat Smith's life. Why then aren't you making all the money you deserve? Because you're an expert at what you do, not a marketing and communications expert. This is a critical distinction. You've got sales and marketing gurus galore who try to help you market your business and look great to the outside world. The problem is this: none of these books or trainers pays any attention to how good your business actually is. Advertising guru Rosser Reeves once said, to be effective, you've got to make the product interesting, not just make the advertisement different. That's something too many of the books and gurus and the ad agencies don't understand. Visit an ad agency or media sales rep. They'll just say, bring me a product or service and a big bag of cash, and we'll guarantee that we'll spend all the money. They'll put all their creative efforts into making it different, with no regard to the inside reality of the product or service. You've got to work with both sides of your business, the inside reality and the outside perception. If you concentrate all your efforts on the inside reality, but don't know how to market properly, you're setting yourself up for frustration and failure. You'll be pulling your hair out trying to figure out where your big bag of money vanished to, or you'll feel like the best kept secret in town. Or if you're focusing all your efforts on your outside perception and your inside reality stinks, then you'll have customers, but they'll hate you because you're selling them a lie. You've got to balance both sides of your business. So here's what we've observed over the last several years. Most businesses could stand some improvement in both areas, but they struggle most with their outside perception. They've built good companies and they offer good value, but they have problems differentiating themselves in the marketplace given today's intense competition. Generally, this is because communication is not their core competency. But that's what Strategic Marketing Total Market Domination Program is all about. It teaches you both sides, the inside reality and the outside perception of your business. Part of the program deals with innovation and how to make your business competitive from a product, operations, and management standpoint. Then the program deals with how to communicate through your marketing, whether that be advertising, direct mail, web-based, or whatever, so that it effectively separates you from your competitors in the minds of your prospects. Business philosopher Jim Rohn seemed to sum it up best when he said that in order to communicate powerfully, you have to have something good to say, then say it well, and finally say it often. Chances are excellent that you've already got something good to say. If not, innovation is an inevitable byproduct of implementing the Strategic Marketing Total Market Domination Program. We'll help you improve the outside perception of your business. We'll teach you how to say it well and to say it often so people will instantly recognize you as their best choice. Your customers and prospects will draw the conclusion that I would have to be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of the price. Although what your current customers think about you is important, what your prospects think about you is even more so. Can they perceive you as any different or better from their alternatives by looking at your ads? What about your brochures? What about your website? Chances are they can't. Even though your inside reality is good, the outside perception is average or worse, non-existent. Grab your marketing communications right now. It may be an ad that you recently ran, a brochure, your website copy, or whatever it may be. Just go grab it now, and let's look at your ads and your website. Is it instantly obvious what makes you unique and different? Do you show your prospects how to judge your offer, what factors they need to consider when deciding, and how to provide superior value? If not, you have some work to do to ensure that your outside perception is an accurate reflection of your inside reality, and to convince prospects that you are the obvious choice to do business with.